Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Wayne James, and yes, happy Monday. Even as a sad Monday, it is raining outside in New York, but it's not gonna stop me from doing what I always wanted to do. So we're gonna get right into the situation, and let's get into this. So we got, I'm gonna say it like this, man. R.P. to Shanquella Robinson. My love and condolences goes out to the family, friends who knows her. I mean, so-called friend. You know what I'm saying? So-called to the real ones that supported her. So like I said, man, like, comment, subscribe. This is called the Feds finally released the documents providing how her friends murdered. I mean, the M word. Take away Shanquella's Robinson's life. So that being said, let's get to the tea. Like, comment, subscribe. We on the road to 500 subs.
If the U.S. authorities and potentially U.S. court are not convinced that the Mexicans have a very strong case, then it's very unlikely that she would be extradited.
New information in the Shanquella Robinson case as the FBI releases some of its files after a news media FOIA request. Robinson left her home in Charlotte to take a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico with 5 friends in October 2022. She died on the trip. The FBI records reveal that on November 9th, a man showed up here to the FBI Charlotte field office to provide information about what he believed was Robinson's murder. Her friends have said Robinson died from alcohol poisoning after a night of heavy drinking, but the medical examiner in Cabo says she died from a broken neck.
Okay, y'all, so it looks like the feds are finally ready to make a move in the Shanquella Robinson murder case after almost 3 years, because newly released documents seem to prove that Shanquella's friends, known as the Cabo Six, unalived Shanquella during their trip to Cabo, Mexico in 2022. The case has been lagging ever since then, even though it moved pretty quickly at the start, especially following the outrage on social media from people who were horrified by the things we found out about the case. The Cabo Six have been fighting for their lives since then, claiming that they were innocent and that they didn't lay hands on Shanquella, but it looks like they have been lying through their teeth, because both eyewitness statements as well as the investigation by the feds just proved that the Cabo Six was lying and they allegedly unalived Shanquella. So what exactly did the feds find out about the murder? And was the whole thing premeditated by the group before they even left US for Mexico? And let's break this all the way down. Now, this case has been going on for a long time now, almost 3 years, and it has been dragging on so badly that everybody thought that it was going to end up as a cold case, or at least unresolved for lack of evidence. There was a public outcry in the weeks following the murder, and then there were calls for justice. However, as the weeks turned into months and the months turned into years, we heard less and less about the case until the public attention died down, and it was like the feds had totally forgotten about the case. Until now, that is, because they just announced an update that promises to see some sort of justice for Shanquella Robinson. See, in the past couple of weeks, several journalists and news channels have been putting a lot of pressure on the feds for an update on the case. Starting from 2023, multiple people have filed Freedom of Information Act requests asking for information. Well, as much information as the feds were allowed to give without compromising the case, of course. Well, the feds finally caved a couple of days ago, and they released 2 parts of documents related to the Shanquella Robinson investigation. And let me tell you, there was a lot going on in the case that we weren't even aware of. The documents were heavily redacted, but according to reports, about a month after she died, FBI reports show they spoke to a person whose name was redacted from the file, who referenced the fight and said they aren't sure what happened, but the unknown person claimed Robinson's friends said she was drinking and hit her head on the toilet. The documents say the person also told investigators they saw pictures of Robinson's body and said there are bruises on her and she looks like she was stomped on. The person also believed there were cameras in the house. According to the reports in the weeks following Shanquella's passing, there were no reports of a single camera being found in the room where she passed, which has fans wondering if the Cabo Six had been aware of the cameras and taken them down as a way to get rid of evidence and avoid incriminating themselves, allegedly. But that's not all, because the FBI files say agents searched Robinson's phone. What they found in the phone is redacted. The files also state that in November 2022, authorities in Mexico told the FBI they needed to interview someone on a trip so they could get a temporary detention order. Mexican prosecutors eventually would issue an arrest warrant, but no one was ever extradited. Like I said, the FBI files were heavily redacted, but according to someone in the know, the redacted portions allegedly point straight at the Cabo Six, with the evidence suggesting that they did allegedly murder Shanquella. So why exactly did the feds decide to release these heavily redacted documents after all this time? Well, it looks like we have Shanquella's family to thank for that, because they have been fighting tooth and nail to get justice for their daughter. They recently filed yet another civil lawsuit against the feds, and this made the feds sit up and finally decide to do something to appease the family. Shanquella Robinson, a 25-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, set off on what should have been an exciting and carefree getaway to Cabo, Mexico on October 28, 2022. The trip was supposedly planned as a birthday celebration of one of her friends. At least that's the story everybody was told. Shanquella left North Carolina in good health, full of life and excitement, just like anyone else who would be heading on vacation.
I'm gonna tell you like this. This is so sad, because I would have been like we understand, like, that's the reason why I hate the FBI and I hate the police in the justice system. Because right now, I don't hate cops. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate cops, but I just hate the justice system, because you had to wait 3 to 5 years. But as you may know, they got evidence. As you may know, it's the people on Facebook and the people on Instagram or social media they really found evidence and proof that, at what happened in Mexico, it was on her phone. When she walked into that room, that room where all the people, they giving her that stare face. You know how there was 4 people in that room or 5 people in that room and 1 person out that room. They feel like they have a plan or a master strategy plan or something. And then when Shanquella walk into the room, it just gives us the empty cricket vibes, oh, what happened? How you doing, Shanquella? How you doing? They just played it off and say, oh, everything. Y'all are so damn disrespectful. I'm sorry. I wish all of them needs to get extradited and get charged with manslaughter, because that ain't cool, yo. And the thing about that is they out on the streets enjoying their lives like they don't give a fuck about what's going on, yo.
Had no way of knowing that she would never make it back home. She wasn't traveling alone. She was accompanied by a group of 6 people who were supposed to be her friends: Malik Dyer, Winter Donovan, Elise Hyatt, Dejanay Jackson, her so-called best friend Khalil Cook, and Nazir Wiggins. The group had all come together for what would have been a fun and relaxing vacation, but as time would reveal, there was a lot more going on beneath the surface. Notably, Nazir Wiggins didn't arrive with the rest of the group. He showed up a day later and has since made it clear that he had no idea what really took place before he got there. According to him, he was completely unaware of the events that led to Shanquella's sudden and tragic death, while the rest of the group remained quiet or gave conflicting accounts. Nazir insisted that by the time he arrived, things had already escalated beyond anything he could have imagined.
So when I got there, she was in the game room. They told me she was not feeling good, so I instantly go to her, put on her side, get a bag, and all that. So I'm sitting right next to her the whole time. I was not there till the next day. I didn't see a fight. I didn't know it was a fight. I didn't know it was a video. I didn't know they did any harm, anything. I went in there and told it was alcohol poisoning, so that's what I helped her. That's what I helped her at. I didn't leave her side. I cut on soft music. Summer Walker rubbing her head till the nurse came in. It's wrong. And for y'all to be attacking me, an innocent soul, I'm really innocent as fuck. I went there to enjoy my birthday. To enjoy my birthday and to really just goddamn have fun. I didn't have not 1 second of fun. And take 1 shot and smoke 1 blunt and then do it in the gym.
Now, from the outside looking in, this was just a group of young adults heading off on a luxurious trip to enjoy the sun, sand, and celebration. However, as details began to emerge, it became painfully clear that what happened in Cabo was anything but a typical vacation. Shanquella Robinson walked into that villa with people she believed were her friends. Unfortunately, not everybody in that room had the same intentions. The morning after they arrived in Cabo, things took a turn that no one would have expected, at least not from the outside looking in. Shanquella's so-called best friend Khalil Cook was the first to reach out to her mother. He called to say that Shanquella wasn't feeling well and claimed that she was suffering from alcohol poisoning. At from the way he described it, it sounded like she was just dealing with a bad hangover, something that wasn't exactly uncommon during a vacation with friends. Her mother didn't think too much of it at the time. After all, they were in Mexico, likely drinking and having fun, and Khalil has been a trusted family friend for over years, so there was no reason to question what he was saying, at least not yet. But as the hours passed, things took a far more serious turn. Khalil called her mother again, and this time the situation had escalated. He informed her that medics had arrived at the villa in ambulances and were actively trying to resuscitate Shanquella. It was clear that whatever was happening was far worse than a simple case of drinking too much. What started as a supposedly minor health issue had turned into a full-blown emergency. Despite their efforts, the medics were unable to revive her. According to her death certificate, Shanquella was officially pronounced dead on October 29th by 3 p.m. The tragedy was devastating enough on its own, but what made it even worse was the fact that the details surrounding her death didn't quite add up. Her family had been told one thing, but as time went on, as much darker truth began to emerge, the story changed. Now, if we take a closer look at the official death certificate, the story that Khalil and the others told starts to fall apart. The document does state that Shanquella was found unconscious, but there's one major detail missing: any mention of alcohol. Despite Khalil's claims that she had been diagnosed with alcohol poisoning, there was absolutely nothing on the certificate to support that. If alcohol had played even the slightest role in her death, it would have been listed as a contributing factor, but instead, the certificate pointed to something far more alarming. The official cause of death was documented as severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, which is a serious instability or dislocation where the skull meets the first vertebrae in the neck. The kind of injury isn't something that just happens out of nowhere, and it certainly doesn't come from drinking too much. This revelation completely contradicted what Khalil had told her mother and raised even more questions about what really happened in the villa. With this new information, it was clear that the story of Shanquella's so-called friends were telling wasn't just misleading, it was an outright lie. The truth was far worse than anyone could have ever initially realized, and the deeper people looked into the case, the more unsettling the details became. Now, for those of you who don't know what an atlas luxation is, it is a condition where unstable or excessive movement is present in the first two vertebrae of the neck. And to break it down further, it means that she basically dislocated top bones in her spine. Now, this condition can either be hereditary or as a result of physical injury, and given that Shanquella has never had this condition, we can conclude that she got it from physical injuries. The spinal cord injury and atlas luxation weren't the only signs of trauma found in Shanquella's body. She had visible injuries that told a much darker story. One of her so-called friends had conveniently left out. There was a noticeable knot on her head, her lip was busted, and one of her eyes was swollen and bruised. These weren't the kind of injuries that just happened by accident. They were clear signs that she had been physically attacked. Then there was a detail from the autopsy report that made the situation even more heartbreaking. It stated that Shanquella had passed away approximately 15 minutes after sustaining her injuries. Now, on paper, 15 minutes may not seem like a very, very long time, but when someone is in pain, every second feels like an eternity. The thought of her spending those final moments suffering, possibly confused and betrayed, is devastating. And this is where things start spiraling out of control for these so-called friends who had been trying to cover their tracks. Not long after the news of her death broke, a disturbing video surfaced online and it completely shattered whatever lies they had been trying to sell. The footage showed Shanquella being viciously attacked by one of the very people she had traveled with, Dejanay Jackson. To call it a fight would be completely inaccurate because a fight suggests that both people were engaging, but that wasn't what was happening here. Shanquella wasn't fighting back, she wasn't throwing punches or defending herself. She was being brutally assaulted while completely defenseless. And the most disturbing part, the rest of the so-called friends just stood there watching. Not one of them stepped in to help her. Not one of them tried to stop Dejanay. Instead, they recorded it like it was entertainment. And then there was Khalil, the very person who called Shanquella's mother, pretending to be concerned. Instead of stepping in, he had the audacity to say, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" As if she had a chance against the vicious beating she was enduring. The video changed everything. It exposed the truth for the world to see. Shanquella hadn't just gotten sick and hadn't died from alcohol poisoning. She had been brutally attacked, and the very people who were supposed to be her friends had not only allowed it to happen, but had also lied to cover it up. Now, I'm not going to share the video itself because, first of all, Shanquella wasn't wearing clothes, and second, it was just too horrific to watch. But what I will say is that she was hurt horribly bad. And what makes it even worse is that not a single one of her friends stepped in to help. Nobody tried to break it up, and nobody told Dejanay to stop. They just stood there like spectators, as if what was happening wasn't real, as if Shanquella wasn't someone that they had called friend. And as disturbing as that video already was, additional reports suggest that Dejanay wasn't the only one who put her hands on her. It's now being claimed that Winter Donovan also played a role in the attack, meaning that Shanquella may have been ganged up on rather than just attacked by one person. Sources allege that Winter grabbed Shanquella by the neck and slammed her into a wall. And when you think about the injuries listed on her death certificate, a broken neck and spinal cord damage, this explanation starts to make a lot of sense. If true, this would mean that Dejanay's assault wasn't even the final blow. Reports claim that Winter's attack came after Dejanay had already beaten her, and that it was only after Winter slammed her that Shanquella stopped moving altogether. The situation got worse when a video went viral on social media, showing her friends gathered behind her back at the resort, and it looked like they were plotting against her.
You gonna keep it hot? What? They, what Go said, they crew.
It even gets worse because the concierge at the resort confirmed that they treated her like an outcast. He said, "She seemed to not fit in with the others. When I introduced myself, she did not greet me or smile. She was indifferent, having nothing to do with the atmosphere of the celebration. She was out of place at that party." He also revealed what the Cabo Six did after Shanquella was pronounced dead. He said, "I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them space to mourn and grieve. Minutes later, I heard laughter." Well, they called her mother to inform her that Shanquella had passed away, but they lied and said that she had died from alcohol poisoning.
So when they got back from the trip with her luggage, what did they tell you happened to your daughter?
That she got sick from drinking. It was alcohol.
Mexican authorities took the case very seriously, and they announced that they were treating the case like a femicide. They also released a statement saying, "This case is fully clarified, and there was an arrest warrant issued for the crime of femicide to the detriment of the victim and against an alleged perpetrator, a friend of her, who was the direct aggressor." Actually, it wasn't a quarrel, but instead a direct aggression. "We are carrying out all the pertinent procedures such as the Interpol alert and the request of extradition to the United States of America." It's about 2 Americans, the victim and the culprit. But the U.S. authorities were kind of dragging their feet on this case, leading to Shanquella's family to write them an open letter where they openly named the suspect that the Mexican authorities had. The letter said, "The viral video showing Shanquella being beaten in the villa while naked by one of the 6 travel mates who was identified by the witness as Dejanay Jackson." The letter continues, "As a result of the investigation, a warrant was issued for Dejanay Jackson by Mexican law enforcement, one of the 6 travel mates who fled to the United States after Shanquella was pronounced dead. Ms. Jackson was identified as the perpetrator of the femicide against Shanquella Robinson, a homicide based on gender. If a United States citizen commits homicide in Mexico, it returns back to the United States. As you are aware, they can face criminal charges in the United States under federal law or state law, depending on the circumstances of the crime." The feds seemingly kept dragging their feet, though, on the case until Shanquella's family got so sick and tired of the BS that they filed a civil lawsuit against everybody involved in the case. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Because they filed a lawsuit against the Cabo Six, as well as the United States Department of that state and the FBI. And her mom spoke on the lawsuit saying, "We need justice for Shanquella Robinson. This has been 2 years, and there's no reason that no one has been arrested yet. The lack of justice serves as a painful reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by individuals, especially young black women, when they seek adventure in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar faces, and it is our responsibility to ensure that such tragedies do not go unanswered." Well, the next thing we knew, the FBI suddenly started moving real fast on the case, and the next thing we knew, they released the heavily redacted documents, even though it had only been almost 2 years since the news station asked them. But do y'all think that the feds will finally make a move and get justice for Shanquella, or do you think that it's just smoke and mirrors? Drop your thoughts and comments below and then check out this next video.
They said they're probably sitting up on their ass eating some donuts and some guacamole or something like that, bro. They ain't gonna do shit, bro. I'm telling you like this. What like all these names that that passed away and it's a crime. I'm telling you, they're not gonna solve nothing less than like 4 or 5 or 6. This is why I would never ever be an FBI agent or being a detective, because if I would have do it, I would have solved that my own, and I just gonna just arrest him, because basically it shows proof. It shows everything that's proof. and the mother even says it us. I want all them the Cabo 6 to just to be charged for her murder, and then you can see the proof in the video. Like, see the proof in all videos. They can't just say, "Oh, we gotta need more forensic reports and all that, and information and all that." And this is getting me really pissed off. It's because I bet you is the base on their skin color. I bet you if it depends if she wasn't white, if she wasn't black, they would have get their cases, like they really put the rest out there quicker. I'm telling you, I bet you it's basically on race. I bet you, because that's why it takes so long for all our murders. Like for even as a black on black crime, it gonna take more. I'm telling you, this is why I hate that's why I hate the justice system, y'all. But anyways, like I said, rest in peace. My condolences goes out to the family, and you know what I'm saying. We do need justice. We do need justice.